Imagine waking up tomorrow to find out that a rogue nation-state has deployed a weapon capable of cracking the private keys to every crypto wallet on Earth. Every Bitcoin, every Ethereum, every smart contract holding billions of dollars in global liquidity evaporated in seconds. This isn't a sci-fi movie script. It is the exact mathematical reality that the developers of Ethereum have been quietly panicking about behind closed doors. They realize that the current architecture of the world's largest programmable blockchain is structurally incapable of surviving the next 10 years. It's too heavy, it's too vulnerable to quantum computing, and it's slowly suffocating under its own weight. So, what did they do? They decided to do something completely insane. They decided to rebuild the entire engine of the network while the car is driving at 200 miles an hour down the highway. They are burning down the old roadmaps. Today we are breaking down Justin Drake's explosive 10-year master plan to completely overhaul Ethereum's consensus, data, and execution layers from absolute scratch. This is the blueprint for a hyper-weaponized post-quantum network. Turn off your notifications, lock the door. You're watching the Signal and Noise podcast. My name is Newell, and today we are going deep down the rabbit hole. All right, let's be completely real with each other for a second. If you look at Ethereum today, it feels like an aging metropolis. It's massive, it's secure, it holds the vast majority of the world's decentralized capital, but it is incredibly clunky. Every single full node on the network has to download the entire history of the blockchain. As we speak, the full node chain data has crossed well over 1.5 terabytes, and it's growing by roughly 25% year over year. Think about that. If you want to run a node to verify transactions independently, you need specialized hardware that keeps getting more expensive. What does that mean? It means decentralization is slowly, silently eroding. The network is becoming a playground where only elite data centers can afford to validate the state of the world's computer. And then, there's the speed problem. Layer 1 mainnet has been sluggish for years, forcing everyone onto Layer 2 rollups. The whole ecosystem feels fragmented. The core developers looked at this and realized that patching up the system with minor upgrades wasn't going to save it. They needed a total philosophical pivot, and that is where the Lean Ethereum initiative comes in. When Ethereum Foundation researcher Justin Drake laid out this blueprint, he didn't just give us a list of technical upgrades, he gave us two distinct, terrifying, and brilliant operational frameworks for the next decade. He called them Fort Mode and Beast Mode. Let's start with Fort Mode because this is about pure, unadulterated survival. Fort Mode is designed to make Ethereum bulletproof against nation-states and quantum computers. Right now, almost all modern cryptography relies on elliptic curves. But the moment a viable quantum computer is switched on, whether it's in a secret government lab, elliptic curve cryptography is dead. Your private keys become public property. To solve this, Lean Ethereum is stripping out the old cryptographic primitives and replacing them entirely with hash-based signature schemes. Why? Because hashes are naturally quantum resistant. It turns the base layer of Ethereum into an impregnable fortress that can run continuously for centuries under the most hostile geopolitical conditions imaginable. But you can't just build a fortress, it also has to move. That brings us to Beast Mode. Beast Mode is the performance side of the equation. Lean Ethereum isn't just trying to make the network safer. It is aiming for staggering face-melting performance gains. We are talking about scaling the Layer 2 ecosystem to 1 million transactions per second. How do you do both at the same time without turning Ethereum into a centralized AWS server? You completely redefine what a blockchain is supposed to do. To understand how this actually works under the hood, you have to realize that Lean Ethereum breaks the protocol down into three distinct hyper-optimized sublayers. First up, Lean Consensus. You might remember the beam chain. The goal here is ultra-fast finality. Right now, it takes about 12 to 15 minutes for an Ethereum block to be irreversible. Lean Consensus slashes that down to near instant finality, measured in just seconds. But here's the kicker for retail investors. They are looking at lowering the minimum staking requirement from 32 ETH down to just 1 ETH. This completely obliterates the barrier to entry, allowing ordinary people to validate the network from a home computer or even a mobile device. The second pillar is Lean Execution. In the Lean framework, nodes will no longer re-execute transactions. Instead, nodes will simply verify zero-knowledge cryptographic proofs, what Drake calls moon math. Computation becomes infinite and cheap. because verifying a proof takes a fraction of a millisecond, regardless of how complex the transaction was. Finally, we have lean data, or blobs 2.0. This utilizes data availability sampling to compress and store massive amounts of roll-up data using quantum-safe hash commitments. When you combine these three pillars, Ethereum ceases to be a slow, heavy machine. It transforms into something completely different: a lean, ultra-fast, decentralized verification engine. Now let's cut through the hype, because if you read the official blogs, this sounds like a flawless, utopian evolution. But let's look at the friction points that the media is completely ignoring. This is a 10-year coordinated rebuild. 10 years. In crypto, a decade is an eternity. Entire blockchain ecosystems rise, peak, and die in the span of 3 years. While Ethereum is meticulously crafting this masterpiece, faster and less decentralized competitors are eating up market share right now. They want a fast, cheap casino. If Ethereum loses its liquidity and developer mindshare over the next 5 years because it's too focused on the 10-year horizon, it won't matter how secure it is. A fortress with no one inside is just a ruin. Lean Ethereum isn't just an upgrade, it is an evolutionary filter. It recognizes that in a digital world, trust and independent verification are the rarest, most expensive resources on Earth. Computation is cheap, but creating an unbreakable, globally decentralized truth machine that can withstand the collapse of nations, that is something entirely different. The roadmap is laid out, the pivot has begun. The only question left is, are you willing to look past the daily price noise and recognize the multi-decade signal? Drop a comment below. Do you think this 10-year plan is an absolute masterpiece of engineering, or too slow to save Ethereum? Hit that subscribe button, smash the like. My name is Newell, and I'm out. Look for the signal, ignore the noise. See you on the next one. Please, this is not financial advice. Do your own research.